Adam, this was a really impressive performance from Carolina. Every aspect of it. The Tar Heel offense, I thought did a really good job handling Syracuse's pressure. They're maybe a little bit early. May was having to tuck and run some, maybe more than he wanted to. But 644 yards, and it's not all about yards, of course, but it's 644 yards, more than 400 yards passing, more than 200 yards rushing. Carolina never punted during the game. I mean, technically they did one time, but even that worked to their advantage. Not necessarily to Ben Kiernan's advantage, but to the Tar Heels in total. Syracuse, they couldn't stop them. I mean, Carolina scored on its first. It was either 7 or 8 possessions of the game, and they were in good position to score when they fumbled, but Corey Gaynor was in a mano-a-mano battle with Kevon Darton at that point in time and somehow didn't get a hands to the face call, even though the guy ripped his helmet off before he even snapped the ball, which aided in the fumble. The point of all that is Syracuse wasn't stopping Carolina at all on Saturday. And, Adam, that's impressive. But I was more impressed by Carolina's defense. I mean, Drake May was incredible. He was ACC Quarterback of the Week. No big surprise there. He was National Player of the Week by the Manning Award, I think, for the top quarterback of the week. Nate McCollum was, for the second time, named ACC Receiver of the Week. So the offense was really, really good. And we'll talk about just that, the volume of weapons that it feels like Carolina has offensively. But, Adam, to me, that the defense was equally as good and probably not talked about as much, but it did just a terrific job in total, holding Syracuse to 221 yards. Really only gave up one sustained drive to the Orange, and even in that drive, Syracuse converted a 3rd and long that it looked like Carolina probably should have gotten off the field. Tayon Holloway just didn't quite aggressively enough attack a ball in the air that could have ended that drive. But it was the containment of Garrett Schrader that was so impressive to me. We talked a lot about his ability to run. It was probably the best thing that he does. And he finished with 28 yards rushing. 18 of them came on one run. So other than that, you've got 9 carries for 10 yards for Garrett Schrader. Adam, it was just very efficient, very disciplined defensive play from Carolina. The Tar Heels were in the right place. They got pressure. They did not allow Schrader to get out of the pocket. They stopped the run, both his run and other people's runs. It was just a very impressive performance all the way around, but we'll start by talking about that Tar Heel defense.
I think when the season started, if you had thought of a best-case scenario for what the defense might look like, that is what it would have looked like. And even then, given some of the issues the Tar Heels have had with running quarterbacks over the years, I'm still not sure you would have imagined being able to hold one of the better quarterbacks at using his legs to that type of meager output. Syracuse just couldn't get anything going at all. And the Tar Heels did it with some depth, and they did it up and down the lineup, and every aspect, like sometimes it's the linebackers, or sometimes the defensive line plays really well. Sometimes the secondary knocks down a couple passes or gets a couple interceptions. This was everybody doing it, and that's why it seemed like such a complete effort, and that's why Syracuse only managed 7 points.
You mentioned the depth, and it's something we've talked a lot about in recent weeks because the Tar Heels have talked a lot about it. They feel like that is a big reason for the improved play defensively is that they are able to play more guys, that they are getting more production from more players, and it just the competition level obviously is going to bring up the urgency level for everybody because they want to get on the field. But I think, Adam, you even went a little deeper into the depth in this game, even when it's not even just at the end of the game. But Kedrick Bingley-Jones came in and played very well. He's came in out of Concord and was very highly recruited. He's just been hurt for a large majority of his Carolina career, and then he fell behind some guys because he was hurt, and other guys had the opportunity to practice more. But he flashed a couple of times. Amari Campbell, who the coaches just rave about at linebacker, had the interception. He that was near the end of the game, but also had an impactful play or two when the game was still more in doubt. So you even saw deeper into that depth than I think we have seen to this point. And when you're running 20 2 guys out there, whatever it may be, and I don't have the exact number, and you're not losing production when you're running that amount of guys out there, then buckle up. That's impressive.
Well, eventually, we understand you're going to need 12 to 15 who you rely on to get it done when you're playing the very best teams. And Carolina's going to, we think, play a better team this weekend, although I don't think Syracuse is as bad as Carolina made it look.
I agree 100%. I think Syracuse is better than what it showed on Saturday, and a big reason for that was Carolina made it look that way.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to a bowl, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But they just got taken apart, both offensively and defensively, in a game that just there wasn't much doubt about.
On that offensive side, Adam, Carolina's ability to run the ball I thought was important because and Brian talked about this during the game. I mean, when Carolina can run it, what are you going to do? Drake May's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And it was on display on Saturday. Everything the Tar Heels did worked. They ran the ball effectively. They spread the ball around on offense, and we'll talk about Tez Walker's impact here in a minute. I think it was 11 different players caught a pass. You saw May go deep. You saw him, the Tar Heels be patient and hit, dump it off, and then guys make plays after the catch and get first downs. You saw great plays on the sideline. You saw crazy juggling catches by Pacer. I mean, you saw it all. And all the different offensive capabilities of the Tar Heels came together in this game. The tight ends were effective. Nesbitt had a great day. Copenhaver caught a touchdown. All of it was on display on Saturday.
I think the 11 different players catching a pass is impressive, but I think in the first half it was 10. So it wasn't like you cleared the bench late and then threw it to 4 guys who hadn't been in. In the first half, 10 different players Drake May uses.
Yeah.
What's your defensive game plan against that? You've heard all about Tez Walker, and you're like, oh, better watch him. Here he comes. He's coming on the field. Oh, it doesn't matter. Tar Heels aren't going to him anyway. They're going to throw it to 3 other guys. So, a couple weeks ago, a lot of people were very concerned about Chip Lindsey.
Right.
Haven't heard as much from those folks lately. And not to say either one is right or wrong. It's just the nature of being an offensive coordinator. You were the guy everybody was complaining about when the Tar Heels weren't winning by enough. Now the Tar Heels are beating an ACC opponent by 40-7, and no one wants to talk about you at all. So, fair to say he called a good game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and let's not forget, what was so silly about that was people thought the Tar Heels were running for too many yards. Like, guys, can you stop racking up 300-plus yards on the ground, please? I like it when Drake May throws it. Well, so do we. And he threw it a bunch, and he threw it effectively. 33 of 47, 442 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he ran for a touchdown. This was statistically his best game of the year. But he's been that good the whole time. And, Adam, that's been the thing. He's been that good all year. The stats haven't looked that way all year because they haven't needed to. Man, he was on it, though, on Saturday. And that's even with a couple throws I thought that he uncharacteristically missed. Like he missed Tez Walker in the flat one time where he just threw it too short. And the Pacer play could have obviously gone either way. That was a crazy play. A terrific play by Pacer. Adam, he's been that good the whole year, and the stats finally matched what his performance has been. And here's the thing, and this is not meant as a negative towards Garrett Schrader. Like, Garrett Schrader is a good ACC quarterback. He's good. Like, if you had Garrett Schrader as your quarterback, you would say, okay, we got a chance to be good here. Like, we got a good quarterback. The difference in the 2 quarterbacks was striking on Saturday. And again, that's more about how good Drake May is and was that day than something negative about Garrett Schrader.
I was thinking about Drake May this weekend.
I do that constantly. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, Drake May, you're so awesome.
I think the times when I appreciate him the most are when I'm watching other games, be those college games or even NFL games, and some other quarterback comes out and has a bad drive and throws like 2 passes into the bench and 1 3-hopper to the flat or something. And you're reminded, oh, quarterbacks do that sometimes. That is something that happens because quarterbacks are humans who have 3 bad plays in a row. Except for Drake May. He doesn't do that. And so I've just become unaccustomed to seeing that occur. And I just hope it continues the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because it's a real luxury to know that when you go out and take control of the ball, there's a pretty good chance you've got a great chance at scoring, and at minimum you're going to get some yards because the quarterback knows how to look at the other defense, figure out where the weak points are, and exploit that. And he's just really good at it.
There were a couple throws. I mean, the touchdown to Nesbitt was a beautiful throw. The little underhand flip to Copenhaver was just kind of an improvising type of deal. But there were even some boring kind of throws where Syracuse's defenders like made good cuts on the ball, and had it not had enough zip and accuracy, they knock it away or maybe intercept it because they made a good play because it's a good defense. But it was just so well thrown that you couldn't do anything about it. So he was terrific. And look, Tar Heels got some hard games coming up. Miami, Duke, at Georgia Tech, Clemson on the road, at State. I mean, they've got some big games coming up. But this was an impressive performance. I think, Adam, full team, best game since that Miami game in 2020 where Carolina just ran roughshod over the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I mean, it would be in the discussion. You would have to talk about this game.
Yeah.
Just because the defense was so good.
Yeah.
We're accustomed to the offense. We're not accustomed to the offense being paired with a defense like that.
I want to talk about Tez Walker in just a second. But, Adam, I thought one guy who quietly had a nice day and nobody's talking about is Omarion Hampton. He ran the ball very well. And, again, when Carolina can run like that, you've got some trouble. And credit to Chip Lindsey and the staff. Carolina ran outside more in this game than it has, and I think maybe more than it wants to. You know, on a game-in, game-out basis. They feel like their strength isn't stretching it sideways. Their strength is going at you. But with the way that Syracuse plays, the Tar Heels knew that they were going to be outside more in the run game in this game. And it was really effective. And I think having Willie Lampkin back on the offensive line helped. Diego Pounds continues to impress, young early in his career at one of the tackle spots. That was quietly a very nice rushing performance from Hampton and the Tar Heels in total. And then even late in the game, and I get it's late in the game, but Caleb Hood comes in and you go, oh, yeah, Caleb Hood's pretty good. And Elijah Green goes out there, and you're like, oh, yeah, Elijah Green's really fast. I mean, and so you see, again, the amount of options the Tar Heels have offensively right now is impressive.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we were talking about this at the game on Saturday, Jones. I was discussing it with another member of the Angel household, the most insightful member of the Angel household. And Carolina just has a lot of really good players on offense. And sometimes you forget about a couple of them because you go a couple drives and they don't get the ball because the other ones are getting the ball. But then you can come back to someone like Omarion Hampton. It's like, oh, yeah, like there have been years he would have been the guy for this offense.
Yeah, 1991 Natron Means is like, wish you'd have been here, bro.
And now he doesn't have to be the guy, and that makes him so much better, and it makes the Tar Heels so much better.
So a lot of emphasis and interest in Tez Walker. Of course, this has been a long journey to get to that point, and we talked about it some on the Friday show. And first, just awesome picture after the game that I saw it on, I think, Carolina Football's main Twitter account or whatever, X account, where Tez had, I think it was 12 or 13 family members, and they were all out on the field. What an awesome moment for Tez and his family and all those different things. And he joined us after the game briefly on the radio, so it was fun to talk to him. He's a quiet guy. You could tell, I think it's probably been a little overwhelming for him, but what a neat day and moment that must be for him. And, Adam, I think ultimately Carolina handled this the right way. And it's easy to say, and I'm talking about on the field. And it's easy to say that when you win 40-7, of course. But They didn't shoehorn Tez Walker into the starting lineup. They didn't force the first play of the game to him. In fact, Mac Brown was funny on Monday during his press conference. He said it had been 14 or 15 plays that they had run, and Tez Walker still hadn't been out there. He said he had to go, Lonnie Tez is eligible, remember? So, I mean, kind of joking around. But they let him into the course of action kind of naturally. Because let's not forget, I mean, J.J. Jones has been playing well. Kobe Paceor's playing well. Nate McCollum's playing well. And so just to go, hey, Kobe Paceor, you're sitting down now because J.J. Jones or because Tez Walker's here, that's not right either. And so I think not forcing it was the right decision. And he's going to have bigger games. I mean, you saw it on that one sideline catch. Like, he can do things that are difficult to do. J.J. Jones had a really nice sideline catch too. But, Adam, I think they handled it the right way in that way. And then there was a play, the long pass to McCollum where he caught it on the 1. And I think that was then May flipped it to Copenhagen on the next play for the touchdown. Tez Walker was there too. And I think May could have thrown it to Tez Walker. But like that Syracuse safety had to make a choice about who he wanted to try and help on. And he saw Tez Walker running down there, and he's like, well, okay, that's Tez Walker. Let me go help over there. And that just made it easy. And I use the word easy very liberally here. Obviously, that's not an easy throw, nor was it an easy catch by Drake May and then Nate McCollum. They did a really nice job. But that's just part of it, right? Like you've just added somebody else that you have to worry about if you're the defense, and it's just going to make things easier, I think, for other people as well.
I think you saw on that play some of what Drake May talked about with us about being comfortable with receivers. I mean, he's just thrown that ball to Nate McCollum so many times by this point in the season. He just knew exactly where to put it. And he probably doesn't exactly know where to put it with Tez Walker just yet. And so I think when that happened, I thought, I bet that's a product of being comfortable. But he's going to get comfortable with everybody, and then you really got some issues defending that. Imagine how good Tez Walker can be when he only just has to play football. Because I think you're right that he probably doesn't like all the other stuff and being highlighted on Instagram all the time and everyone probably coming up to him and be like, are you going to play this week? Imagine when he can just get into the game plan, watch some film, go out and practice, not with the scout team, but with the first team for an entire week, and then just go out and play. I don't know him personally at all, but my opinion is, just from hearing him talk to you the other day and just kind of watching him, I think that's what he likes, and I think he'll be really good. All that being said, what a job by the Carolina crowd to welcome him back. It's not often that when someone runs on the field in a football game, like you see it in basketball sometimes, but football personnel is coming in, going out, especially if you're well into the game before it happens. As soon as he ran on the field, huge ovation from the crowd, immediately noticing that he was out there. The ball hadn't even been thrown to him yet, and they were already giving him a big ovation. So the Kenan Stadium crowd did a great job of welcoming him back, I thought. I also think now he would probably say, now it's time to go play and win some more games.
Yeah, and Mac Brown alluded to that during his press conference on Monday, basically saying that, look, that chapter is finished. Tez is now on the team. He's a player on the team just like everybody else, and we're going to move forward. So I do think that will be a focus for Carolina to kind of move along past that. We all know it's been a long journey, but now that journey has come to an end, and a positive end. And so now a new journey begins, Adam. And Mac Brown has talked a lot about not getting comfortable or complacent. I think that's going to be as important this week as it has been at any point, because I imagine people are going to say a lot of nice things about the Tar Heels, and they should. I mean, Carolina played very, very well. We have been saying a lot of nice things about the Tar Heels. But you're not even halfway through the season yet as far as games played. So there is a long way to go and a lot of challenge in front of you, including this week against Miami, who, of course, is coming off that blunder at the end of the game against Georgia Tech. So they will be extra motivated to put that to bed and move forward. Carolina, Mac Brown was disappointed that the Tar Heels, in his mind, had to settle for too many field goals in the red zone. I thought Syracuse did a nice job defensively when the Tar Heels got down to the shorter field of making things hard for Carolina. And credit Noah Burnett. He's still doing a great job at the kicker position. There was this second straight game, Carolina's had a punt block, so clearly that has to get fixed. It, in hindsight, kind of sums up the day, right? That the punt gets blocked and then it just bounced perfectly into the hands of Ben Kiernan, who got absolutely blasted at the end of the play. Both he and Kevin Hester being evaluated this week as to whether or not they'll be available for Carolina coming up. And that could, I mean, Ben Kiernan, first of all, our friend, has been with us here on the pod, of course. But, Adam, that could be a big deal. I mean, Tar Heels didn't have to punt the rest of the game against Syracuse. You're unlikely going to go through the whole game against Miami without punting. They are one of the best defenses in the country. They lead the nation in rushing defense at like 58 yards a game allowed. So their defensive numbers have been really good. My whole point is, and you almost saw it on Saturday when Carolina was backed up, and then they ended up getting a 3rd and long, and so it didn't end up mattering. But if Kiernan can't go, and we don't know that, I certainly hope he can, but that could be something to keep an eye on, particularly with the challenges that the Tar Heels have had here recently in getting some kicks blocked.
Good callback. I forget who on Twitter who said that when Syracuse was back to return a punt, you should nudge the person next to you and say something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Yeah. Because when Syracuse was back to receive the one punt that Carolina did, something did happen. Yeah. It just didn't involve their punt returner.
What a picture by Lee Pace on Twitter, of that face mask of Ben Kiernan.
That's why it pays to have Lee Pace on the sideline.
Yeah. That was a crazy-looking picture.
Yeah.
And yet somehow it's a lower body issue for Ben Kiernan.
It would be my whole body issue.
It'd be a full body issue for most people.
I would have gone into that tent and you never would have seen me again. I just would have started digging and never come out.
Adam, what else? I mean, gorgeous day, great crowd. You mentioned welcoming Tez Walker when he came. I thought the whole atmosphere was terrific. And we've said this before. I do think the Tar Heel fans were in a little bit of show me mode at the beginning of this year. But it now seems like everybody's fully on board because people like it when you win. And Carolina's sitting here at 5-0. Big game coming up this weekend, 7:30 kick time against Miami. It should be a terrific atmosphere. That doesn't mean Carolina's going to win the game, but it should be a great atmosphere.
It has been funny to watch it go from, well, I'm not sure how good the Tar Heels are, to, okay, so if Carolina, Louisville, and Florida State all go undefeated in the ACC,
yeah.
What's going to happen and how will the Tar Heels make it to the playoff? As we've said before, you're never as bad as you think you are. You're never as good as you think you are. So right now, Carolina not as good as you think they are, which doesn't mean they can't still be good. But, man, what an opportunity coming up with 2 straight night games because that Virginia game announced for 6 o'clock on the 21st.
On the CW. And on the Tar Heel Sports Network.
So get ready. Dawson and the gang are going to be there waiting for you down by Dawson's Creek.
Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. Wait, Buffy was the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But before that, the huge opportunity against Miami, people have been wanting the night game. They're going to get it against an opponent that loves the lights except when it's time to go win the game, and then things fall apart. So a great, huge weekend in Chapel Hill.
So Tar Heels now 5-0 on the season. They're 2-0 in conference play and have that big matchup with Miami coming up on Saturday night, 7:30. We'll be on the air at 6:30. Of course, we'll do a full preview of the game later in the week when we're back with you here on the pod. Adam, anything else football-wise before we move on?
Great to have Sam Howell back.
Well, it's great to have Sam. Sam and the Commanders had played on Thursday night, so he was able to make it, received his Patterson Award, and was the Keenan legend for the game, and great to see him. Looked good.
What a run of quarterbacks the Tar Heels have had.
Yes. I did enjoy when Connor Harrell got in the game late and ran the read option, and he was like, I am not giving this to anyone else. Like, guys, I am on the field. I am going to have the ball. I get it.
What if we run a play for, let's say, Connor?
Yeah. Guys, I don't know what the signal was from the sideline. This is the Connor play. No, talented young quarterback Tar Heels are excited about, but certainly a little bit behind Drake May at this point in time in his career.
As are 99.9999% of all quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where I watch on Sunday and I think, okay, who's gonna take Drake?
Yeah. watch out, Panthers.
They don't even have their pick, Adam. They don't have a first-round pick.
Oh, that's right.
Because they gave it up for Bryce Young. So no choice there.
Okay.
Should have waited a year.
So who's first in line right now?
The Bears have the Panthers pick. So they would have the first pick as of now. Now, granted, we're a couple of weeks into the season, not even a third of the way through the regular season. But Panthers are the only winless team, and the Bears own their pick.
Bears don't really need a quarterback. Kind of. Well,
that depends on probably how well you know the Bears. I don't know. Justin Fields has looked much better the last couple of games for sure. So who needs a quarterback? Raiders, Patriots, maybe. Those are two teams that I think don't have great records right now that may want a quarterback.
I don't see Drake May, A, playing for the Raiders, or B, living in Las Vegas.
No, the Patriots feel like a more natural fit.
Yeah.
Than the Raiders. Now, there's obviously other teams involved too, but
that being said, if the Raiders want to give him millions of dollars to come play quarterback,
that's right. He's not going to turn it down.
This is all speculating if Drake May is in the draft.
Yeah,
which he might come back to school. Who knows?
That would be terrific if he did choose to do that. But anyway, that's for another day. For today, Tar Heels are 5-0 and certainly feel like they're playing well.